Let's see from our next questioner.
Robin White, I'm a barrister from Somerset. Why should LGBT people vote Conservative?
Well, Robin, thank you for the question. Now, if you look at our record over the past few years, it's one that I hope you and everyone else is proud of, right? It was a Conservative government under one of my predecessors who made sure that we had same-sex marriage. And more recently, we're making sure that all our public services work better. That we've made changes in the NHS for provision of healthcare services for same-sex couples. And that gives, hopefully, you and everyone else a sense that look, this is a country whose values are reflected in our party and in government, and that is that it's a compassionate, tolerant place. And we want to make sure that people, whatever their background, right, are respected and treated with dignity. Right? That's the kind of country that I believe in. And it's not just about LGBT, it's about absolutely everything, right? Quite frankly. Like, this is a place which has always been welcoming, tolerant and inclusive. That's who we are as a country, and I think that's what we will be, and I'll always make sure that that's the case while I'm Prime Minister.
Forgive me slightly, but I think some of the issue may be less about the LGB and more about the T, Prime Minister. More about the trans issue.
Well, on that issue, look, my view on that is relatively straightforward. Look, first of all, right, for people who are going through that, particularly children, right, we have to be really sensitive about it. We should be understanding, we should be tolerant and compassionate, as I said, because that's who we are as a people, respecting everyone and their differences. But I also think on that issue that particularly when it comes to questions around women's safety, women's health, that biological sex is important. And I don't think that should be a controversial thing to say. I think that is a relatively common sense view that I think is held by the vast majority of people. And unfortunately, this debate over the past few years has become incredibly charged and polarised, but I really don't think anything I just said, quite frankly, should be controversial. Are we respectful and tolerant of people and their differences, particularly when they're going through things that are sensitive? Yes, of course we are. Do we think biological sex was important when we're thinking about women's safety, women's health? Yes, of course, I think most people would think that is important. And in particular, I think these things are important when we're considering our children, which is why we've recently published guidance for schools about how to deal with these issues in our classrooms. Teachers' unions asked the government to do that. And you'll see what I've said reflected in that guidance, but also making it clear that parents should be involved when these issues arise at school and concern children. It's of course right that parents should be involved in those things, and we should be particularly sensitive about these issues when it comes to children.